Hi there. Welcome to our webinar today. We're very excited to be here with you. My name is Donna Lang, and I'm pleased to be your moderator today. To begin with, I'd like to ask Reverend Michelle Singh, Faith in the Common Good's Executive Director, to provide us with the territorial acknowledgement.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As a national network, Faith in the Common Good works across the breadth and width of Turtle Island, the traditional territory of many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge and are grateful for the opportunity to live and work on ceded and unceded territory. By making a land acknowledgement, we are taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and Indigenous heritage which dates back over 10,000 years. Donna?
Thank you, Michelle. Well done. Our topic today is how to access your faith-building energy data. Our presenter is David Patterson, whom you see on your screen, and he is the Energy Coordinator for Faith in the Common Good. David will be giving you very detailed and practical information about how to access your faith community energy data. And then afterwards, I will be leading a question and answer discussion. I'll be asking you if you plan to continue to access your energy data, and if so, how? And I hope that you'll ask lots of questions, and remember that there are no dumb questions. Now, a little bit about David. David Patterson has lots of experience in energy consumption and conservation. He is all about business when it comes to greening faith buildings. This is why property managers and green team leaders alike throughout our network hold him in such high regard. An expert on renewable energy and energy efficiency, his main message to faith communities is, you can't change what you don't measure. David has been consulting through his company, ProTerra Sustainable Solutions, since 2007. He has performed over 60 audits of faith buildings for our program Greening Sacred Spaces, Green Audit, and Solar Audit programs. He has also planned and coordinated the installation of multiple geothermal, wind, and solar systems on private dwellings, including his own family's 9.6 kilowatt ground-mounted solar microfit in Haliburton County. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Donna. And thank you, Michelle. Just before I start, I'd like to just mention I have 2 young boys and a dog, and so I'm hoping that they will be able to keep quiet for the duration of the presentation. The boys have been instructed to do so, and so is the dog, but I'm not sure how that will work out. Also, I would also like to say that this presentation is primarily geared towards faith communities that have participated in the energy benchmarking program. But with that said, if if you aren't in the benchmarking program, there's still a lot of information in here that could be valuable. And we can, if there's any questions, obviously, you can ask them at the end of the presentation. So how to access and maintain your utility data records upon completion of FCG's benchmarking project. So we have two benchmarking programs that we've been working on. There's one for the Greater Toronto Hamilton area, and then there's one that's just started up in the Ottawa area, and they're both geared towards faith buildings. So we have here are the three key learnings that I hope you will take away from today's presentation. The first is, what is Energy Star Portfolio Manager? How do I track my faith community's utility data in Portfolio Manager? And what are the different ways of accessing my faith community's utility data? So you have to be able to, so we use Portfolio Manager to track your data, but you also have to figure out where you're getting that data in order to input it into Portfolio Manager. So we'll go through all of that today, and a little bit more. But first, just a bit of the program background on the two programs that I've just mentioned. The Ontario Trillium Foundation has been funding the GTHA benchmarking program, and it's going from 2017 to 2020. This is the last year of it. The target was 100 faith communities in the GTHA, and the target is 50 faith communities in the Ottawa region. We have 110 faith communities enrolled in the GTHA, and we have 10 in the Ottawa region. And we've been using an online, easy-to-use system called Energy Star Portfolio Manager, and we've used it to track your energy and your utility performance, and hope that you will be able to use it to improve and lower your usage. So again, a bit more background on the program. This is a sample of the report the baseline report that we've been sending to our faith communities. We've just finished 100 reports for the GTHA, for those who participated in the GTHA benchmarking program. The Toronto faith communities, all Toronto faith communities should have received their reports by now. And Halton, Hamilton, and York, the reports are done, and you'll be receiving them within the next week or two. So this is your baseline performance report that you have received or will be receiving shortly. And we have been tracking your consumption for the last 5 years. 5 years, as long as your utilities were able to provide us with 5 years of data, we were taking that and inputting it into Portfolio Manager, and we were pumping out these types of metrics for you to see in your report. And there's chart comparisons and GHG comparisons as well. And here is the benchmarking report that is also included in your baseline report. And this chart shows, this one in particular shows 99 faith communities, and where you would be relative to all those other faith communities in terms of your in terms of your energy usage score, which is the main score that comes out of this report. So why benchmarking? Well, benchmarking saves energy and it saves money. According to the United States EPA, just by benchmarking and tracking your energy usage, they noted an average of 2.4% reduction in energy reduction. So, for example, if you spend $30,000 on utilities annually, this will equate to a $700 per year savings simply by paying attention to your energy usage. And it also helps to guide your investment and operations. For example, you'll see your gas usage and your electricity usage, and you can compare. You can see maybe which one is using more than the other, and you'll figure out where you might want to focus your efforts and your money. So moving on, what is Energy Star Portfolio Manager? First and foremost, it's an energy management tool. It was created by the EPA in the United States, but Natural Resources Canada has taken it on as well. So it assesses a whole building energy and water consumption. For our project, we did not include water, but you are able to track water in Portfolio Manager. You're also able to track waste and materials and create goals. It tracks changes in energy, water, greenhouse gas emissions, and costs over time. You can share and report on your data with others, and you can create custom reports. And this is just a screenshot of St. Bridget's Parish. Each faith community in Portfolio Manager has kind of a homepage like this where you can scroll through and see all the various numbers. Furthermore, there are 150 metrics available. For our purposes, we wouldn't need to use or see all 150 metrics, but you can see this list of data that is available, and the real energy geeks and the number geeks of us would go through here and play with it quite happily, but many of you would probably your eyes would gloss over. But anyway, you can pick and choose all of the reporting features that you want. So once you get your data into the system, you can pick and choose what you want to see and what you want to report on. And that's what is shown here. And it's all available in a free, online, and secure format. And anybody can sign up and create a user ID and start adding buildings. You can add businesses, faith communities, colleges, universities, homes. There's a huge list of types of buildings that you can track. So if you've been involved in the energy benchmarking program and you've been receiving reports, or you have received the report we've just sent out and completed is the last report in the benchmarking project that we will be doing for you. And so what we'd like to do is share how you might want to share with you the ability to continue tracking for yourself. And so that's what we're getting into here. So how do I continue tracking my faith community's utility data in Portfolio Manager? If you've been involved in our project, then we've been collecting data for the last up to 5 years for you. Some of you may only have 2 or 3 years of data, depending on your utility company, but the majority of you have 5 years of data in Portfolio Manager, and it goes right through to January of 2020, so just 2 or 3 months ago. And if you'd like to continue to track in Portfolio Manager, then it's a bit of a complex way to set it up, because I've basically got to share what I've created with you. And in order for me to do that, you need to create a user ID in Portfolio Manager and send me that user ID, and then you and I will get together to grant you the access to see what I've done. So I'm not going to get into all that granting access piece because it is a bit confusing, but working one-on-one, it can be done quite quickly, and I've done 1 or 2 of them already, and it doesn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes. if we're both able to focus on it. So essentially, what I've done is I've created your Faith Community and Portfolio Manager. I've created the profile. I've added 5 years of data, and I need to grant you that access to view and edit your Faith Community, and then you can take it from there. So that's basically what we have to do to get you tracking your own data. Now, how to access your Faith Community's utility bills? Well, we're going to go through 4 options, and everybody has a house, I assume, or an apartment, or rents or owns something, and everybody gets bills. So the quickest and easiest way to get your billing information is to just check your bills. And depending on who in your Faith Committee, maybe it's a bookkeeper or an accountant, or the main office or the secretary will have access to all your bills. If you've been enrolled in the benchmarking project, then we have data right up through January. So if you want to continue, all you need to do is find the last 2 or 3 months of billing information. If you wait till next January or February to start entering the data, then you're going to have to find 12, 13, 14 months of bills, and that's when things can start going missing and get lost. So if you're going to continue tracking your data, it's best to start now. So your Faith Community may be receiving hard copies in the mail still, or ideally they've already signed up for online billing, and whoever had signed up for online billing would be receiving the bills via an email, in which case they could simply just forward you the email that would have the information that you require. And again, if you're going to be tracking your bills and somebody else in your Faith Community is the one receiving those bills, find out who it is, go to them right away and say, for every bill that comes in, please set it aside for me, photocopy it or email it to me right away so that we don't lose track of it. So it's just a matter of getting a process in place. So on your bill, what you need to enter into Portfolio Manager is your billing period, your total cost, and the total. So this is for natural gas, obviously. And there's another slide for electricity. So this is natural gas, where you want your billing start and end date, your total cost, and your meters cubed of natural gas use. This is an Enbridge bill. Most of you have Enbridge. Union Gas is now owned by Enbridge, and they will probably eventually start looking like this, but Union Gas has a bit of a different looking bill, but they all have the same information, and you would just have to look through your bill to find this information. This is Electra, a bill from Electra. Most of you have Toronto Hydro, or there may be Oakville Hydro or Halton Hills Hydro or Burlington Hydro, but Electra or Hydro One. Again, all the bills have the same information, and what you're looking for is your billing start and end dates, your total cost, and your total electricity used. And we use the adjusted usage rather than usage. The adjusted usage, so usage is what your house uses, or what this is my house, but so usage is what your building uses. Adjusted usage is how much electricity has to actually be produced in order for you to use that much. So there's losses that occur between the solar panels or the natural gas or the nuclear electricity generation. They all produce electricity, and you lose some energy in transportation, So if you use 2,175 kilowatt hours, it actually you actually have to produce 2,253 kilowatt hours for you to get for you to use that amount. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it well, but anyway, that's why we use adjusted usage, because that's total usage. So a second way to access your Faith Community's utility bills is online. So all utility companies allow you to access your bills online through something called My Account. And they're all called My Account. And this requires that your Faith building registers on your utility's website, and you can access up to 2 years of monthly billing data online. Here are all of the websites for the various gas and hydro companies. You go to these links, you click these links, and it'll essentially take you to the sign up page. And if you've already signed up, then you can sign in, or if your Faith building has already signed up through My Account, then you will need to find the person who's done that sign up and see if you can get access to it. So 2 years of monthly billing data is available online. So if you wait, 2 years and 3 months to start filling out, before you begin filling out Portfolio Manager, you will not be able to access 1 or 2 months worth of data. In general, all the information you need to sign up online is your account number, the account name as it appears on the bill, and an email address. So when you sign up, you best to have a hard copy of the bill in front of you. Here it's as simple as so this is my Enbridge sign-ups, Enbridge web page. I signed in. I clicked View Your Gas History. So one click from the sign-in page, and I get to the page where I can access my gas usage history. And I can select 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months. And I can export it to an Excel file. I also have options of looking at the bills in PDF format. This is my electricity sign-in page. And again, 2 years worth of billing information once I sign in. Option 3 is to contact your utility's help desk. We don't recommend going this. So you would probably only use this option when you're trying to gather 1, 2, or 3 years of data and you've lost your bills and you don't have online access. Then you may have to go to your utilities and say, please email me my usage for my historical usage for the last 2 years, 2.5 years. So in this situation, they're starting to charge you for that now. So at Toronto Hydro, they'll charge you $25 per meter or per account. Electra will charge you $15, as will Oakville Hydro and Burlington Hydro. So this may be the easiest way to go because you can simply pick up the phone and call them and ask them, but it's also an unnecessary expense. And also there are the contact web pages for all the different gas and hydro companies. I did not include Hydro One here, and I know they're huge in Ontario, but in our project we didn't have any Hydro One customers, so that's probably why I didn't include them here. So a fourth option for accessing your utility bills is potentially that FCG may continue the current baseline benchmarking program as a fee for service. We haven't gotten all the details put together on that. We're just running through the numbers on how much it would cost, and But there's a potential that we could do this for you. We would just continue on this program, and we would continue to collect energy from your utilities. We would continue to enter that data into Portfolio Manager, and we will continue to provide an annual baseline and benchmarking report to you. Also, there is in Ontario there is a mandate for energy and water reporting benchmarking, and Portfolio Manager those reports need to be submitted through Portfolio Manager. So it's something that we would also add to, if applicable to your building. It's something that we would add to the fee, be included in the fee for the if you were to decide to have us do this for you in the future. So keep your ears open, keep your ears and eyes open for information on that service. So in conclusion, as a phase committee, decide if you want to continue tracking your utility data in Portfolio Manager. Determine who in your group will be gathering and entering the data, and have that person sign up at EnergyStar.gov Portfolio Manager. Ensure that person has access to your monthly utility bills. Email dpatterson@faithandcommongood.org with your user ID, and David will be in touch with you to complete the process. So these are the steps you need to take if you want to continue tracking your data on your own. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So now we're going to hopefully have a good and robust Q&A. Can you hear me now?
Everyone is unmuted, so you can raise your hand and or wave at us on the screen, and we will be able to call on you for your question.
So thank you, everyone, for joining our Q&A. As I said before, there are no dumb questions. I found this tutorial very instructive, but also complicated. So no dumb questions. Please put your questions in the chat box, or wave your hand, as Michelle said, and we'll unmute you.
Okay. Actually, everyone is unmuted, but we'll start with Doris.
Oh, I wonder how we might be able to access the or connect with people who've done well in their overall chart. So if we rate wherever we rate, and say we're in the red, how would we be able to connect to someone who might be in the green? Is there an opportunity to talk to people who are doing a good job?
So that's a good question. We designed this so that people didn't know what their neighbor was achieving in terms of the energy usage intensity score. Some of the faith communities were nervous about showing their scores, and so we decided to not show all the faith communities in that horizontal bar chart that David showed you of the EUI. So one way we could do this is people could email me, Donna Lang, and let me know that you would be a network partner. And I've been the animator now in Toronto for 10 years. Several faith communities have stepped up, and they're very happy, depending on what type of information we're looking for, to talk to other faith communities so that they're able to let them know about their learning transfer, what worked, what didn't work, and how to avoid some pitfalls. That's one way. I guess another way would be to understand the drivers better, like what are driving these numbers. One of the things that we definitely discovered is age of building because of the building code. So the newer the building, the more energy efficient it is. David, do you want to comment about any other drivers that you saw in the data?
Well, a general comment on that is just it also depends on each faith community it's just, in general, it's just not good enough that, like, it's probably not enough that a faith community is doing well on that chart. You need to be connected to probably a faith community that is similar to yours, similar challenges, and so that's kind of a deeper question where we would have to look at the age of your building, the usage, how it's being used, before we can really say, okay, we'll connect you with the right a faith community that makes sense.
Well, I understand that, but sometimes it's innovation, what others are doing that you may not consider is also something, a factor.
That's
and
a good point.
You may not get if you look at faith communities that are similar to you, rather different. There is learning.
That is a very good point. And one thing I would say is look at our do-it-yourself energy efficiency guide. It's almost 70 pages. It's extremely complete. And if you look at the very first 4 or 5 pages, you'll see the main takeaways in terms of what you can do. And, you know, a lot of them is where are you losing heat in your building? Where are you expending your AC in your building?
Yeah.
Through doors, windows, attics. So I'm not trying to say that there's a one-size-fits-all, but the do-it-yourself guide is very complete. David and Stephen Collette, our other energy coordinator for Canada, compiled it, and it is a very good deep dive. So I would start there. I'm also happy to put you in touch with any faith communities that I think would be able to give you learning transfer. So we do that with solar, for instance. If somebody wants to do solar, if somebody's looking at how to insulate their windows. So I know the faith communities that have done X, Y, and Z, and I'm able to put them in touch with other faith communities that have offered to be mentors.
Okay, thank
Donna,
you.
Donna, do we also have case studies?
Thank you. We've got tons of resources on our website. We have webinars. We have all sorts of brochures. We have all sorts of case studies of other faith communities. When I say we've got rich resources, it would take you a couple of weeks to read all of our information about energy efficiency. So go to our website, faithcommongood.org, and look under Greening Sacred Spaces. I can't remember the masthead now, the mastheading. Do you know what it is, Michelle or David? Programs or something like that, is it?
No.
There are a number of different ones there. They're listed on their blogs, resources. There are a number of different ways to find it. We do have a number of questions in the chat box, Donna, so how about if I read these out for you and David to respond? The first one is from Wayne Clayton, who has a two-pronged question. Can those outside of Ontario use this? I don't see the adjusted factor on my Manitoba hydro bill. Is this included on all bills or just in Ontario?
Portfolio Manager is available worldwide, actually, so it's definitely available outside of Ontario. As far as a Manitoba hydro bill, I'm not sure about the adjustment factor. Perhaps that's already included in your billing if they don't show an adjusted factor. So I'm not sure how that would work in Manitoba. I would have to see it and research it separately.
Okay, thank you, David. From Juby, for those fees that utility companies may charge for data, do you have a sense if they may waive those fees on the basis that the requests are coming from places of worship?
So I will answer that one. I contacted the Ontario Energy Board and found that they have a page on their website that has all the distribution fees, this is what they call them, of all the utilities, and there are about 80 of them in Ontario. And they wouldn't give me an immediate answer when I said, will I be charged? I did say I'm asking on behalf of a residence and also a faith community building. And but I did get a call back 2 days later, and they said, yes, we will be charging. So I know Toronto Hydro will be charging. We had to absorb the charge for 2019 data that you just received with your benchmarking reports in the Toronto region, because they decided last spring in 2019 to cancel the Conservation Energy Demand Program and the provincial government, and therefore started charging for this because they've lost that department where we were getting the data from. So now we're getting data from IT, and they are charging. Electra has not been charging us to date, and they cover off York, Hamilton, Halton, and so I'm expecting that they will not be charging, but I can't say that for sure because legally they have the right to charge.
Okay, and Judy's follow-up question is, when requesting data, how long will it take to receive it?
So I don't think that's a problem. They told me that I could get the data within 2 days.
Okay.
As long as I paid.
Okay, we have a few more questions here from Peter. Is there a possibility to have this program reflect our solar production?
Yes, that you're able to. So when I'm entering data, I create a natural gas account and an electricity account, assuming your faith community has both. I would create those accounts. Then there's also an option to add a solar meter. So in Ontario, if you've got a microfit, then that would be pretty easy to add the solar to track your solar production, and you could you get that, you get your invoice when you have a microfit or a fit project. It tells you how much you've produced and how much money you've made, and you can pretty easily enter that. That's an apples to apples thing. However, if you're net metering, where your building uses the energy from the solar panels, then you might not know exactly how much your solar panels are producing unless you have third-party software, which you have to sign into and get that data from. And if you do have third-party software and you're able to access and see how many kilowatt hours the panels are producing, then yes, you could enter that, and it would offset. You would put in your electricity as one meter, and then you would put your solar energy, your solar panel production as another meter, and then those two would offset each other.
And Peter has a follow-up question, David. We have a rental program that uses water to teach bike maintenance and develop an appreciation of bike riding in a safe way. Thus, the 200-plus children use a lot of water, and we need to track it to establish a fair rental rate. We currently just do some math comparisons between monthly costs. Can we be helped to provide a better measurement?
So Portfolio Manager would track your water usage also on a monthly basis. I think if you want to get more detail, you would have to be tracking it more on a daily basis so that you know if the kids are using your space, every Saturday, then you'd need to be tracking a daily usage rather than a monthly usage, I believe. And there might be a way to do that, but and that might mean going to your water meter, learning how to read your water meter, and then taking measurements or taking readings from your water meter on a daily basis over the course of 1 month or something like that. I'm not sure if that answers the question, though.
I think it does, and I think also, if I can, I'd like to go back to questions. You have 15 minutes left around the, do you plan to access the data to try to probe here? Ellen, if you can email David your questions, then he'll get in touch with you about whether he can help you with Saskatchewan data. Al from Canada in Ottawa, good question. If all we have is 2 years of bills, will we be able to do useful analysis? So it's a two-pronged yes and no. Only 2 years of data. You want 3 years. You want 3 data points to be able to establish a trend. However, if you have an energy usage intensity score, which you have for 2 years, you can compare yourself to the 110 other faith communities that have scores. And you can compare it year versus same year. So it is very relevant. And then again, if we dig deeper, find out more about the age and functionality of your building, we can give you some relative scores of other faith buildings, which will help you look at how you're doing. So it's benchmarking that really can help you looking at yourself versus others to find out, how you're performing, because we're taking all your energy consumption, both hydro and gas, and we're dividing it by square footage. So apples to apples, you can compare yourself to other faith buildings.
And I should add that I'd like to add that you have to start somewhere. So right now, if you're only able to access 2 years of data, get in there and get that data out now, because next month you're going to lose a month, and so on and so forth. So, and before you know it, you're not going to have. So best to start now and start building that data so that in 2 years you'll have 4 years of data.
Okay, and David Charles has been patiently raising his hand for a while now. So why don't you go ahead, David?
Hey, first of all, hello from Gananoqually. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
yeah.
I can.
Okay. And your dog and kids are doing great.
Yeah, they are.
I wish my dog was so good. First of all, on your metrics, the denominator, the space, the square footage, how do you get that?
So that's from at the beginning when our reps around Ontario have signed up faith communities for the program, we have the faith communities fill out a form, and so that comes from the faith community themselves. They come up with that number, and they give us the square footage.
So that's architectural information that we have to get?
It should be on your insurance policy,
okay.
And probably your property committee head has it somewhere.
Okay.
And it's also, I mean, if it might just be that you've got to get a tape measure and walk around room by room as well. That's kind of the worst case scenario. But square footage is the most important number that we ask for, because all of the other numbers, all of the comparisons, your energy use intensity all comes from your square footage. So if you have your square footage wrong, your usage intensity is completely wrong as well, and then it just throws off the comparison. And I've got 2 or 3 faith buildings who are waiting for the reports, but they've provided me with a square footage that I just know is wrong because their numbers are off the charts high or off the charts low. And so it can be pretty obvious if you're not in a certain, if you're not in a certain range, if your square footage is wrong.
Okay, and then I guess for me, the rubber hits the road when you actually get root cause analysis of where's the leakage, what kind of lighting, you're not using LED lights. Do we have contractors that we're contracting nationwide or locally that we can get a halfway decent rate to do the thermal analysis, the lighting analysis, et cetera, because you can do all this baseline, but you got to get at the root cause.
Yes, I'm not sure that we have nationwide contractors for that sort of thing. I think it's it's something the organization has looked at in the past, and it just hasn't worked out. But Donna, maybe you might know better.
No, I do not know.
No.
Okay. Do contractors who sell windows or sell lighting, will they sometimes provide a free analysis because they hope to get your business?
Some do, some don't. I think this is probably, if you want to email David, he can get back to you, because I think this is fairly technical.
Yeah, just
like your benchmarking, but without the analysis of your building, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, so I just, so it depends on how much you want to do, I think. So greening, Phasing the Common Good offers the green audit, and that's where myself or Stephen Collette will come in and do an audit for you. But we don't crunch numbers. It's a very holistic audit, and we just walk through room by room, and we say, hey, we talk about the operations, and we point out the areas that can be improved. In most cases, for most faith buildings, it's a good enough audit to get you started down the right path. And it's less than $2,000 for that audit. If you're going,
there are also other types of audits.
Yeah, if your faith building is going to be doing major work, renovations, and looking to really improve insulation, windows, that type of thing, then the best thing to do would be to get a engineered audit, and they will come in and do those numbers.
That's called an ASHRAE audit, and that's called an ASHRAE audit. I think the best thing is to take this, David Charles, and email David, because there are 4 different types of audits, and we'd like to recommend the one we think makes sense. But first of all, get some more information from you. Does that
okay? Thank you. And I said the no-brainer we've done so far is LED lighting. I mean,
perfect.
The ratio
it's
is so
payback.
huge.
Yeah.
So another question here, good question. Okay. Hilka, the process for tracking historical data was explained very clearly, but how do we take into account differences in external temperature year to year? David, I'm going to ask you to answer that.
So I'm not sure if you've received if you were enrolled in the benchmarking program, but the raw data that we presented on that report did not account for the weather changes. However, the main score where we did the benchmarking is a weather normalized energy usage intensity score. So it accounts for the hot summer, the hotter the summer, the cooler the summer, or the hotter the winter, or the cooler the winter. The energy use intensity score that you received accounts for, basically it assumes, it gives you a score assuming a 30-year average. And that's how it adjusts it according to that. But the other numbers that you receive are purely, are not weather normalized.
I call them free-floating numbers, so they're what you receive according to your consumption and greenhouse gases. There's another part to that. Did simply monitoring usage result in savings of 2.4%? Yes. Without spending money on retrofits, and the rationale is, you probably know this, you can reduce your lighting energy consumption by 15 to 25% by turning off the lights, by not using it, the electricity. So the 2.4% is because you've created awareness, you're aware of your consumption and the need to conserve, and you've got various methods like sensors to control your lighting. Does that answer your question? Okay, I'm going to assume it does. I want to ask a question if I can. How many of you plan, we've got a poll here. Thank you, Hilka, for getting back to us. So our question is, and Michelle's going to put it up for us, how many of you plan to access your faith community 2020 energy data? And we want to ask this. Most of you have received up to 2019 that are in the benchmarking program. And so we're trying to figure out if you have plans to continue monitoring your energy data. One of the reasons for this is we've been asked by the grantors, the Ontario Petroleum Foundation, how would you sustain this program? So we're trying to find out if there's a wish to continue accessing data. So if you could just fill in the poll, yes, I plan, or no, I don't plan, or not sure. And the next question is, do you plan to make use of Portfolio Manager? Yes or no? Remember that you can still track your data without it. So we're asking if you would like to use it, if you plan to use it. And the last question here is, would you be willing to pay Hydro for your data? So if they, in York, Halton, Hamilton, who are all part of our benchmark program, if they end up saying it's $15, is that a route you would take, yes or no? Or would you find the data yourself, as David gave you other options? So yes or no to that.
Okay. Are you going to activate submit?
You can submit once you click on the poll.
There's one more question. Sorry, there's one more question. Would you be interested in paying us, Faith in the Common Good, to create a report for you? And I know you don't have the price, so it's a hard one, but what's your inclination, yes or no, at this point in time?
That's not on my survey.
I had to scroll down. I didn't think it was here either. It's at the very bottom if you scroll down to the right-hand side of your poll.
Okay. That's why submit wouldn't work.
Aha. And
how do you get submit?
Michelle, can you help out, perhaps?
Okay.
Donna, we have 2 minutes left.
Okay. Do you want to give any inputs, or is it too early for the poll?
How do you get submit?
You scroll on the poll. You can scroll down, and you'll see there are 4 questions. And at the bottom, there's a button that you click on to submit.
Okay.
You have to answer all questions.
You can say unsure or...
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. Got it.
We realize that it's a group decision a lot of times, but we just kind of wanted to get a sense of where people are at and what their intent might be at this point in time.
As we are just about at time, Donna, there are still questions in the chat box. Do you want people to email you or David with their questions?
So, good question. What I'd like to know is how much time do we have in the webinar? I'm willing to keep going.
We have another webinar scheduled, so we're not able to keep going.
All right. So, that's easy. So, David's email is here, David Patterson, dpatterson@faithcommongood.org, and mine is dlang@faithcommongood.org. So if you send your question to both of us, one of us will respond, depending on which one knows more about that subject.
Okay, I am going to end the poll now. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Donna.